Hello. So I thought I'd do, while this is all, we're in the middle of chaos and kickback is happening and we're winning and the dissonance is falling around kind of the narcissistic abuse of trans rights activists and kind of what's underneath, it's been revealed as quite a serious problem. So I wanted to build on I'd started to talk about safeguarding, and what I'd kind of come to was, both on my blog and in that video asking you to go into your kids' schools, is explain that safeguarding is not it's not a letter of the law. It's not a law. We don't have a list of behaviours, you know, that if you see these behaviours, that means this and that breaches the law. What safeguarding is it's an agreement. So it's an agreement between the government, between parents and professionals. And it's an agreement about the way that we will work together. It's very rigid rules for working together. And in fact, the working together guidance is fucking enormous. And the more fractured down the systems become, the bigger that guidance gets, because there are more people within that guidance, the more providers there are. But ultimately, the only three positions you have to worry about in safeguarding, there is government responsibility, which cannot be abdicated. There are professionals' responsibility, for which they are liable, and there's parental responsibility. And occasionally, parental responsibility can be shared with the state and enacted by professionals. Now, within this little triangle, the person who remains supreme is parents, always. And the reason for that is very, very simple. We know that parents will act. And we know that actually, if we do not keep parents supreme, if we do not understand this within this arrangement, that bad things start to happen. So for instance, if Rachel, my daughter, went to school and she started to disclose things in conversation with her friends, with her teacher, and it became apparent that I had brought somebody into our lives who was treating me badly, who was making me apologise for my biology, who was threatening me, who was coercing me, and she was witnessing that, that would be significant harm and the school would have a reason to be concerned. If Rachel mentioned that she had witnessed or been party to sexual coercion or manipulation, or, you know, these are things that would prick up her teacher's ears and they would be like, this is not good. And in the same vein, if the school introduced something into my daughter's life that doesn't fit within those rules, that doesn't recognise and reflect on those risks, I can say, excuse me, you haven't done that. And similarly, when the government have failed, as Maria Miller failed to do when she was told that, you know, offending would be, you know, trans was being used by people to make subsequent sex offending easier, I'm allowed to look at her and I'm allowed to go, And this brings me to, this brings us to a really interesting tension, because at the minute, we literally have bullshit disciplines from elite academic institutions, we have The Guardian, we have we have all these fucking Pink News and Stonewall, who are basically selling male pattern abusive behaviour and one accent that we should be, you know, that safeguarding is now hate speech. Because of the way safeguarding is structured in the UK, that just makes them third parties trying to directly undermine safeguarding for children, and those responsibilities can't be abdicated. Austerity can erode those institutions. The responsibilities can't be abdicated, because this is the rule of law. And what happens is when you try to start passing that, you generate instability. So undermining the rule of law with austerity has generated instability in the form of the left being energised and posing a risk of fascism. And then them trying to take it one step further has generated more instability, because we've just gone, fuck no, sit down. So what I'm going to do with this next playlist, because what I'm anxious to do is, I know that this is part of a bigger process where the rule of law is becoming exposed just as institutional failure is occurring and political instability is all bringing it together in a fucking nexus. And I'm aware that part of what's happening now is that institutions which were not previously aware of this law and this structure are now being made aware. So I'm going to use, I said I was going to use this opportunity, I have been looking for my books, I have this, Social Work Law, it's my fucking, I swear to God, it's like, actual, I don't think it's the one that I had when I trained as a social worker, but it's one that I've bought since. It's relatively old, so it's a couple of years out of date. So that's what I'm working on, Social Work Law, Alison Bremer. And all I'm going to do in this next playlist is I'm going to outline some of the areas of law that are going to become apparent as local authorities collapse and as universal credit falls apart and as the NHS kind of sinks into crisis. And these are areas of law that are covered by very specifically this site, which is social workers. Now, what policymakers have thought would happen is you would erode the institution and then that function would go. But that's not what the function actually is. It's not an institutional function, it's a function in the political economy that has evolved to take political responsibility for these areas of law. So I'm going to split this playlist into three. One of them is going to be about the legal context in which social workers operate. So that's going to look at a web of laws like the actual institutional context, how law shapes institutions, and human rights law. And then I'm going to look at children's law, and then I'm going to look at the different legal frameworks around vulnerable adults. And hopefully what that playlist should provide is kind of a bit of an insight into the way that the rule of law provides a stabilising bent to our economy, why it is that it generates instability when you undermine it, and also into how, so that you can see some of the crises that start to come up as we re-establish our local authorities and other institutions. It's the law that's going to emerge there. And this process that we're going through with trans rights is quite interesting because it's illustrating how it is that that bedrock of the rule of law, even when you fling academic disciplines, even when you fling media power, even when you fling all these things at it, because of the way the rule of law is held up in this country, it can't be undermined quite that easily. And I thought this video might be quite helpful with that. So that's that really.